After working all the raglan increases, which is stated in the pattern, it's time to put the sleeve stitches on hold. So now I'm going to show you how to do that, because after you're placing your sleeve stitches on hold, you're continuing knitting the body of the sweater. So this is a neckline opening. We're going to knit a ribbing here afterwards. This is the stitches for the front piece between these two raglan markers. This is the back piece right here, the stitches for the left sleeve, and the stitches on the shoulder for the right sleeve. So now I'm at the beginning of the round, and I prefer to use these stitch wires or stitch holders. It's just a plastic tube which you can place on the needle to place stitches on hold. If you don't have this, you can use just some leftover yarn instead, and if you have, you can use this needle. It makes the process kind of easier, but I'm going to show you afterwards how to do it. So the first step is knitting until the first marker, marking the raglan stitch between the front piece and the left sleeve. Like so. And while I'm putting the sleeve stitches on hold, I am going to remove the markers as well. So I'm removing the marker on the right side of the raglan stitch, and the raglan stitches is going to be included in the stitches for the body. So I'm also knitting the raglan stitch like this and removing the next marker. So now I'm at the beginning of the left sleeve. If you have stitch wires, use those, or you can use a strand of yarn, just placing the stitches on hold like this. Or if you don't have a needle, you can just knit with the strand of leftover yarn like this and just pull it through to place the stitches on hold on that strand of yarn like this. I think it's most convenient to use a stitch wire or a stitch holder, so I'm going to do that. Then I cut mine in two because I'm knitting a small sweater, so I'm using a small wire. But if it's longer, that's really not an issue either. So to place the stitches on hold, I'm going to place the wire on the needle like so, and then just transferring the stitches from the needle onto the stitch wire. I'm holding the end so the stitches don't fall off, and carefully just transferring the stitches from the needle and onto the wire until I reach my marker marking the next raglan stitch. That one is also going to be included in the stitches for the body. So when I have transferred all the stitches for the left sleeve onto the wire, I'm just detaching the wire from the needle again and removing this stitch marker. Then all my sleeve stitches are on hold on this wire, and I'm just going to tie a knot so they don't fall off like this. Now your sweater looks like this. This is the beginning of the round. These are the stitches for the left sleeve, and then we're casting on stitches underneath the sleeve or just below the armpit to gather the front and back piece. I prefer using the backwards loop method, but you can essentially use the method you want to cast on stitches. But you use the working yarn and just twirl it around your thumb and placing your needle into that loop and tightening. Then I have casted on one stitch. I'm going to need 4 stitches for this specific pattern. So I'm casting on 4 stitches in the same way, like this. So this is still the front piece, and this is the new stitches that I've casted on. And to continue knitting, I just place the stitches for the back piece further, like to the end of my needle, and knitting the raglan stitch. So I'm knitting the first stitch for the back piece. Then it looks like this. Then I'm removing the next marker as well. And then you can just continue knitting over the back piece until you reach the next raglan stitch and do the same thing there as well. So now your sweater looks like this, and it's actually starting to look like a sweater. So you can now see where the sleeve is going to be, like this. So after knitting the body of the sweater, you're picking up these stitches and picking up a few stitches underneath the sleeve as well, and knitting the sleeve. So it's really a pretty simple procedure, but it's kind of scary the first time you do it. But once you try, you'll quickly get the hang of it. So now I've knitted over all the stitches for the back piece and are going to place the stitches on the right sleeve on hold as well. So I've knitted until the raglan stitch and the marker. So I'm just removing that one and knitting the raglan stitch, which is included in the stitches for the body, removing the next stitch. So I have my sleeve stitches here, and then just placing the stitch wire on the needle in the same way as for the left sleeve, trying to get it to really be stuck on the tip of the needle so it doesn't fall off and my stitches get all over the place. And then just transferring the stitches for the right sleeve in the same way until I reach the marker, like this, and then removing the wire, removing this stitch marker, and just making a knot so the stitches keep staying on the wire like this. Then we have our right sleeve, and then casting on stitches with the backwards loop method here as well. This 1, 2, 3, and 4 for this specific pattern, like this, and then just gathering the back piece with the front piece and knitting this raglan stitch. Whoops. And I'm tightening it a bit more as well, removing the next marker, and then continuing to knit over the front piece. So now you can see that we've placed the sleeve stitches on hold. So this is the left sleeve and the right sleeve, and we only have the stitches for the body on the needle, and are going to keep knitting the body in the round until it's done, and then picking up the stitches for the sleeves and of course the neckline ribbing.